Hello, I'm recording this before the much anticipated Trump-Biden debate. And I want to start off by asking you a question. I don't know how the debate's going to turn out, or I have my suspicions, but there's no point in speculating right now. I want to ask people who are watching this about the posters, because there was a random comment which I saw, which involved Trump and Biden posters. Apparently, a lot of Trump posters are up all over various parts of America, possibly not in California, but yeah, in the rest of America, and not many Biden posters. Of course, they might all be concentrated in the two ends of America. But I'm interested to know how many people actually put up, how many people actually saw posters that had been put up for Biden rather than for Trump. Because it seems to me that most people, even if they want to vote for Joe Biden, might feel embarrassed to be supporting him because they know that that's just a shell. And it's sort of embarrassing. And the second question I want to ask you is this. The Democratic Party put up a man who is manifestly mentally incompetent to be a president. Is this not an insult to all Americans? Even the Democratic voters. Now, you might say here, I'm going to have to. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut out because I forgot to bring it up on my screen. Here we are. It's this. So this was in response to a series of tweets about Hunter Biden. Just to give you some background, Hunter Biden apparently is involved in a business which is selling some sort of IT equipment to China, which is being used to catch or imprison Uyghur Muslims in China, or somehow to track them. I don't know what, but it involves the mass imprisonment in concentration camps of Uyghur Muslims in China. That's as much as I know about that. So this tweet here says, Hunter isn't on the ballot paper, which is true. It's not Biden's responsibility if his son is involved in some sort of shady dealings. It's not nice, but it's not the point. That's not what Biden should be caught for or accused of. But the interesting thing is that the Democrats are constantly accusing Trump of his relatives being dishonest in some way. So maybe Biden's son is on the cards. Personally, I don't think that's right for either way. However, this point is this person here who has the politically correct rainbow on his or her icon, right? That's the one. Hunter isn't on the ballot paper. True. And in this election, getting Trump out of office seems more urgent and important right now. And it's at that point that I disagree with whoever is tweeting here. Because in this election, what Americans are being given the choice of. Now, let's just assume that Trump was not a good president. My opinion, he's a pretty good president, and he seems to have done more for world peace with his unorthodox methods than all the professional politicians combined over the past 20 years. But that's another point. So just assuming that Trump were a bad president, assuming even Trump was a fascist, which, again, I have to say, I don't think he is. In fact, I'm pretty sure he isn't. But here, it says, in this election, getting Trump out of office seems more urgent and important. So the important thing is to get Biden in because Trump's a fascist. But what is Biden? Well, Biden is not there. Biden is incompetent. So what you are doing is saying it's more important to have an incompetent president than a competent one who's a fascist. And so I want to ask you, what sort of choice is that? Because when you're voting for a competent president, or whatever you think of him, at least he's competent. With Biden, your decisions, planning, everything is going to be made by people you don't know. Some of whom may be fascists as well. You can't know. So this is a pretty silly thing to say. And most people believe that when Biden is sort of shunted off to the side, it will be Kamala Harris who gets the basically the regency role. Either Biden will bow out or he'll stay there and they'll stand him up like which one was there was a Russian president who was obviously incompetent. The one before Gorbachev. Brezhnev, who was obviously not competent, and they wheeled him out on parade days, and he stood there and you could see that they were just sort of piloting him around and the committee were making the political decisions. But that was Russia. That was Russian communism. And it's sort of interesting that it's the Democrats who are choosing to use this sort of system of getting some face in the front, a Big Brother type face, because as you know, if you remember 1984 novel by George Orwell, there were pictures of Big Brother, but actually Big Brother didn't exist. That was just a face. And the government of Airstrip 1, which had been Britain, was being run by some sort of cabal that people could not identify. And this is exactly what's going on with the Democrat campaign. Now, either that will happen or Kamala Harris will take charge and pretend to be the vice president, where in fact she's the president. I'm not sure, I don't know all that much about the American system. I have a general outline knowledge of it, but I have the feeling that the vice president may give opinions and that sort of thing, but there will be a whole lot of stuff behind the vice president that will prevent him or her from actually making serious decisions. I know in times of emergency, they're supposed to be able to take over, but I'm not sure if this were a long-term thing, whether they would have the authority, actually, and they would have to defer to the Democratic Party for their power base. So what this means is that either you have Biden in charge, and he's not there, and your government is being run by a cabal that you cannot see or identify, or it will be run by Kamala Harris, who will owe her position to this cabal as well. And so you're going to get, whatever you do, government by cabal. Harris may build some sort of a power base, but you have to remember that when they were running the presidential nominee primaries or whatever they're called, she had to drop out because her campaign was so terrible, and she has a bad record when she was working in California of, for instance, imprisoning people unjustly and keeping them imprisoned unjustly. And here there's this one here, this chap who was imprisoned by police who had made up, basically they just made up evidence Well, not evidence, they'd made up a story. And Kamala Harris apparently knew that. And the only way he got out of jail in the end was when Kamala Harris left and a new DA came in and immediately threw out this guy's case. Meanwhile, he'd spent 20 years in jail. So she's got a bad record and a lot of people distrust her. And that's why she won't have much of a power base, at least to begin with, and will have to bow to the wishes of whatever is standing behind Biden. And again, they may spin on this that, you know, a woman of her ethnic background is, you know, a sign of American something or other, non-sexism, but no. It's a bit like the if you notice, when Muslim groups put forward candidates to further their cause in America, it's always a woman. Well, it's frequently a woman, and the ones who I'm thinking of right now who are the most prominent, it's all women. Because obviously women are seen as less threatening. So I'm not impressed by the Kamala Harris choice. And Biden said, I'm going to choose as my vice president a woman from an ethnic minority. First of all, that's wrong. You choose the person who's the best for, I know though, that the choice of vice presidents is frequently a bit of a joke. Was the Dan Quayle was chosen by one and he couldn't even spell the word potato properly. That was a while ago. But yes, I know that vice presidents are a bit of a joke. But then the other thing is that he didn't choose her. She was chosen by focus group, wasn't she? And the focus groups were run by this amorphous cabal of which I have no knowledge, and I doubt very many Americans have any knowledge at all unless they're in the Washington Insiders group. So, okay, that's it. Are you Americans being filled with a sense of insult by Joe Biden being pushed up like some sort of a cardboard cutout as a cardboard cutout president? Are you offended that a woman from an ethnic minority was chosen because she ticked some boxes and not because of anybody's particular admiration for her? And again, I'm asking, I'd like to know about the posters you're seeing being put up. Because, as I said, I think that Americans, even the ones who are intending to vote Democrat, they will, if they have any sense, feel ashamed of actually voting for Biden. And they're doing it simply because, like with this, they just want Trump out. And they're prepared to see the country burn. You know, it's like burning your house down to get rid of an infestation. You may regard Trump as an infestation, but you still shouldn't burn your house down to get rid of it. All right, well, that's it. I'll just get this done and online before the debate, and we'll see how that turns out. I'm looking forward to that with great interest. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.